rear window, airplane fuselage. Here comes the scary part.
Welcome back to Bald Man Building an Airplane. This is the 7th episode in the Canopy series. What I kind of neglected to say at the onset is if you're not a builder, the rear window is part of the same section of plans as Canopy. Therefore, they go together. So why is it scary? Well, the big piece of plastic that I just put on here, if I break it, or I crack it in a way that's not really repairable, it's a $775 part as of February 8th, 2026. And that doesn't include shipping. You can't really just roll this thing up and put it in a small box, or you can't really pack it flat and ship it. That is probably another $150 worth of shipping to get this thing somewhere. So, yeah, the front canopy is a lot more. When we get to put that plastic on, I'll look up the price of that one too. Yeah, so this whole episode is about fitting it into the space where it needs to go. You think, okay, that looks super easy. Yeah, it's not bad. Vans provide some really excellent directions on how to do this. And again, this is why I wanted to do the 14, aside from the fact that it was more spacious. But the plans are just great in this. And they really outline exactly what they expect in order to get a good result. So we're measuring along the top roll bar to see, how much along the front protrudes beyond the shim that we'll be drilling into later on. And then what we do is clamp it in place once we sort of get an idea there. And then we're going to, let me see here in the plans. I've actually got the plans open today. There's a couple of pieces along the skin at the top rear. You see right here, I'll call it out, where it intersects some sort of like flanges that come forward. So we mark those flanges. And once, we've got a nice tight fit because we've put, oh no, we don't do the thing in there yet, but later on we'll put a rag in there to make sure it fits nicely against the skin as well. This is just a loose fit to sort of get some ideas about where to cut. Because you need to sort of make relief cuts in the back side of it so it can slide further back and line up properly in the front. Additionally, I made some marks on the front of the canopy where it will be centered up. That way, like the rivet holes and stuff that it centers on, that way it's easier for me to remember this is what it looks like when it's centered. And that's not called out, but I thought, I should probably do that. And so here's the relief cuts that we're cutting out of the back. Sorry about the shadow there, not great lighting. One thing I would say, if I were to do this again, is the Dremel's a great tool for this. Any cutter like that, I don't know what they call it, what kind of cutter. Any cutter like a fiberglass disc cut works really well for that. Again, if I were to do it again, I would probably grind the cutting wheel down a little bit so that way it doesn't make such a wide cut because it was a little too wide. But having these a little bit wider is not necessarily detrimental to anything. And here I am. I'm just trying to clean up the edges because these are I don't know what you'd say. They're just cutouts. They're not structural or anything. It's just to get them out of the way of the flanges that protrude forward. But you got to make it smooth, and I'll have another part of another video later on that talks about using a card scraper to smooth things out. But realistically, in this sort of tight area where you've got to sort of get the insides of a curve, you got to use, I was using the aluminum oxide grinding piece, and then some sandpaper on the Dremel. I did clean it up with higher and higher and higher and higher grit sandpaper because you can't really get a card scraper into that area. But yeah, eventually you got to finish all the edges as you cut them. Otherwise, it's not going to turn out very good. So here's the initial fit. Pushing it back and clamping it in place so that it should push right up against the upper skin in the back there. I don't think I put a bunch more. Oh, and here they are. Yeah, I bought a ton of clamps for this process, and I'm glad I bought a ton of clamps because it was needed, and they'll be used a lot more later on. I guess, what else here? Oh, there's the inside. Not much to say here. I don't know how well it lined up. I think I still had to trim a bit off the front. I think I'm pretty happy with my work here, but yeah, see you next time. We'll get this thing fit.